For the first topic, we are gonna just break down what ADHD is and how ADHD impacts women, specifically Black women, because we are the least diagnosed in this group. Then a lot of us are walking around with ADHD or ADHD symptoms, symptomology, and we are not recognizing that that's what's going on, that we have ADHD. Um, ADHD is very commonly misdiagnosed in our demographic. So you may have a diagnosis or have had a diagnosis in the past of depression or anxiety, but for whatever reason, you feel like that just did not fix the issues. So some common things that just come along with ADHD in general. One primary thing is executive functioning issues. So, executive functioning issues will show up in life like inability to stay on a schedule or get to events on time, waiting till the last minute to get ready for something that you have to be at within 30 minutes, just not planning appropriately in various areas of your life. So, how that shows up as far as your wellness is concerned is you may have a desire to exercise, you may have a desire to eat healthy, you have a desire to lose weight or whatever the case is, but maybe you have low energy or it feels like you can never just get enough energy or get in the mood to do your workouts. You end up not eating properly because you do not plan ahead, or you have cravings that are really hard for you to overcome. So you end up eating foods. Welcome to the live. Welcome. If you're in my class, drop in the comments and let me know you are part of the Human Talk class. If you are not, welcome anyway. I am teaching a class that is through Human Talk University online, and I have a Facebook group and also students that are actually officially enrolled that should be watching this class. The replay will be available in the Facebook group also. But anyway, so when it comes to food, you may have very, very strong cravings for like carb foods. You may have sensory cravings. So, a lot of women that I have coached in the past may have cravings for things like gummy bears, Twizzlers, what's another one? The little sour straws. Those are kind of sensory cravings. Those are cravings that also give you the carbohydrate that you might be seeking to boost your mood or energy, or just give you that dopamine, that quick dopamine hit. A lot of what ADHD is sensory or dopamine seeking. So it is going to show up when it comes to like nutrition as munching and snacking a lot, munching and snacking on foods that are, hey, Angela, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining the class. Munching and snacking on crunchy foods. Crunchy foods might be something that you snack on when you are bored or you are sleepy as a way to keep yourself alert and awake. So you might be seeking just some type of energy just because you're bored, or you know, you might want to eat healthy. You might desire to eat something that is healthy for you, but you have such strong cravings that you just can't, you know, find your find the will to be able to make healthier meals. Also, with meal planning, it's just overwhelming. So something that we with ADHD might just avoid altogether. So um it's starting to be diagnosed more commonly now, but initially ADHD used to be called ADD, or attention deficit disorder. Um, that was like the umbrella term. In ADD and ADHD are both the same thing, right? But over time, it ended up breaking up into attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So the reason why they did that was because they started noticing that there are different types of attention deficit disorders, right? They're not all the same. Not all of them are equal. So they took ADD and they made it ADHD. So if you hear somebody say that they have ADD, it's literally the same thing, ADHD. So there is the inattentive type of ADHD, and then there is the hyperactive type, and then there is the combination type. So a lot of what we think of when we think about ADHD or ADD is the hyperactive type. So somebody who is interrupting people when they're talking. Maybe you might think back in school, it was always that one kid that couldn't sit down. He was always bouncing off the walls, disrupting class, like all over the place. So typically when we think about ADD, we think about young males, white males, black males too, but white males were like primarily the ones getting the diagnosis back in like the 90s and the 2000s, early 2000s. So that was like the face of ADHD, and the people who fell like in the background of that may have been dealing with symptoms of ADHD or ADD, but were not getting recognized for that, were kind of being pushed off to the side, were women and African American women. Adults in general were getting diagnosed less back then. Most of the time it was a diagnosis for children. Then it eventually, got to be understood that adults can have ADHD. It's not something that you get and can get rid of. It doesn't go away. You have to cope with the symptoms of this condition for your entire life. So when it comes to us African American women, ADHD, it kind of, as if you haven't been diagnosed as a child, because there are not a whole lot of us who got diagnosed early. But if you got diagnosed early, that is one, a blessing, because most of the time, psychiatrists or psychologists would kind of push it off as something else, like, oh, they're having trouble in school, or they can't focus, or they have a reading disability, things like that. So if you dealt with that growing up in school, where it was hard for you to kind of focus in class, it's hard for you to kind of stay on track or just process and receive the information that you're receiving from your teachers. Um, it was possibly ADHD or ADD when you were young. You just didn't know it because that we weren't diagnosed with it. It just wasn't something that psychiatrists and psychologists looked at when it came to women and Black women in particular. All right. So as you grow up, you kind of learn to adjust. You kind of learn to fit in, or mask is what they call it, right? You kind of learn to mask your symptoms. So I know for me as a child, reading, I used to get anxiety. Thank you so much, Raging Virgo, for liking the live. I appreciate it. So as a child, one of the things that I had major anxiety around like reading in class. I had major anxiety around like being put in front of the class, or put the spotlight put on me for any reason at all. It would like literally send me into almost tears, because it just gave me anxiety. And there were other things that I was dealing with as well, but my ADHD was part of that, right? So growing up, I had to learn to like put a mask on. And as far as like being a Black woman and within our own community, we learn to mask any type of mental health disorder. Really, it's not something that we talk about. It's not something that we are open with each other. It's being more commonly spoken on now. But and if you are my age, I'm 42. So if you are my age, or you are a little older than me, then like mental health is not something that we discuss. It's not important. Just put your big girl panties on and deal with life, right? So because of that, you learn to mask your symptoms. So you start hiding the fact that you are not paying attention in a conversation. Somebody is talking to you and you see their lips moving, but you're not tracking what is being said in the conversation, right? Or you have a hard time getting work done on time. You tend to finish projects last minute, or you finish assignments last minute. You have like all of this for whatever reason, you cannot bring yourself to do whatever it is that you need to do until the very last minute. Now, I know in my case, for me, I always do my best work when I am under pressure. And I think that is part of my masking growing up. I have to literally put things together or do things at the very last minute just because I feel like I do my best work at that time. And it's very hard for me to get started ahead of time. So that might be something that you're dealing with. Um, and then, it's very common for us to deal with overeating. Binge eating is something that's very common in women with ADHD. It is a coping mechanism. It is something that we use to kind of cope, to get our dopamine hit, to manage our symptoms. We might turn to food. Some of us might turn to other things like alcohol. Drug abuse is something that is common when you are trying to learn to cope with your symptoms without properly addressing what the issue is. So the main takeaway is that you want to either get a diagnosis, because that's like the first step in kind of understanding how you can learn to manage your symptoms. Doing things like this, with getting in communities with other women who might be dealing with symptoms, symptomology of ADHD, and you can kind of communicate, like just bounce off of each other, talk to each other, and learn how everyone else is coping with the symptoms. So you can kind of learn different skills from other people, try different things. But it's really important to just kind of talk, find a space where you can relate and talk about the symptoms of ADHD, because within our own communities, we just don't, right? We just don't. There is a lot of body image issues that might come along with ADHD, especially in Black women, because there is shame around like overeating, binge eating. If you're dealing with that, there is like the stigma that our bodies should look a certain way, just in general. And you might not fall into that category if you are struggling with binge eating or overeating. Something else that is not talked about a whole lot, but is common in women with ADHD, is that we might skip meals or miss meals. So we're not eating the way that we should be eating. We're skipping or missing our meals. We are snacking instead of taking the time to actually prepare and eat regular meals. So that is a lot of the issues that you might be dealing with. So let me look at these comments real quick because I see a couple coming through. So Rachel Virgo says, yes, oh my God, I stay procrastinating in my head. I keep telling myself to get it done early. Yeah, that's very, 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 very common. And it's not, you're not broken. It's not that something is wrong with you. That's the one thing I want you all to take away from this week is your ADHD symptoms that does not make you like a victim. I don't want you to have like a victim mindset, like, oh, woe is me, I have ADHD, I can't do anything. Like, don't think like that. And also, I want you to be able to just understand that this is just the way your brain works. So just like somebody who might have OCD, right? And it seems like their life is super organized and they do like all the things on time, everything is together, which OCD can work in tandem with ADHD too, but that's another topic. But somebody else might have OCD, or just a regular neurotypical person. Neurotypical meaning somebody who goes through life. They don't really have any mental health condition. They are what's considered quote unquote normal, which I don't think there is a quote unquote normal. I think we are all on some end of the spectrum, right? There's those of us who don't really have much going on, and then there's those of us who have a lot going on. So I feel like that's kind of where we fall. But if a neurotypical person is able to get up in the morning, they have their morning routine, they do the same thing every day, they might eat, the same rotation of foods, whatever the case is, that's how their brain works. And they understand how their brain works. So that's why things are easier for them, right? So if you have ADHD, it's important for you to learn and understand how your brain works. If you don't have the understanding, and you just get stuck in the cycle of something is wrong with me, my brain is broken, I can't do that, then that's when the problems come in. So just switching the switch from my brain or something is wrong with me to this is just how my brain works, and I need to learn skills and techniques and methods to kind of help me get through my days. That's how you need to focus and lean into life. All right. ADHD stuff like ADHD and stuff like this that is demonized in the Islander community. Glad I learned better. Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, I hear it a lot too. Like, I hear two different ends of the spectrum. So some people say ADHD is like a superpower. Like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing if you have ADHD. And for me, this is for me, my opinion, that kind of minimizes like my struggle because while I am not a victim and I can find ways to cope and get through life and deal with life, don't minimize my struggle either. Like, I'm not no superhero. Like, I'm literally trying to get through my days some days. Like, I am literally just trying to get to the next task, or I'm trying to make sure that the next thing gets checked off my list of 10 million things to do. I'm trying to show up for myself. I'm trying to self-care. You know what I mean? So, like, when people say, oh, ADHD is a superpower, to me, that is minimizing ADHD, where you don't need to minimize it. You also don't need to like make it something where it controls your life either. So that is my, like, there's a balance. It just is. You just are. Just like if you were somebody who had I don't know, a heart condition or a broken toe, like that just is the way you is, and you learn to cope with that. Like, you just learn how to maneuver and get through life with whatever disability or struggle you might be dealing with. And all of us have them. Everybody has something. It might not be a mental health condition. It might be something else. It might be like a family issue that you have to deal with every day. Maybe you have a child that you deal with that has something that makes your life have to be approached in a different way. So that is what ADHD is. All right. Thank you, Raging Virgo, for interacting with me. Younger me saw it as an issue. Present me embraces the way my brain functions. That's so good. I actually never thought of it like that. You're right. It does minimize it. Yeah. So I sent the workbook out and I want to go through that with y'all. Let me check on my lives because y'all, I can't even see. If you are in the Facebook group, let me know that you can see me. It says I'm live, so I'm going to assume that I am. Let me see. So this week on the workbook, the point of the assignment is to help you to understand how the point of the workbook is to help you to understand what ADHD is and how it is showing up in your life. Oh, yay. Okay, y'all can see me. All right, Ansley, I see you are on Facebook. All right. Let me hold on. That's awesome. Okay, so I did it. Yeah, over here struggling trying to figure this out. And I still like I need to figure out a better way to set my screens up because I can't. This is too much going on. My ADHD is being triggered a little bit right now because it's a lot going on. But yeah, so the point of this week is to understand what ADHD is and really, really, really take a moment and reflect on how it is showing up in your life, whether in a positive way or a negative way, and specifically in the areas of your wellness and nutrition. So, for example, if you are somebody with ADHD and you have been struggling to meet whatever weight loss goal, whatever nutrition goal, whatever health and wellness goal, um really taking time to reflect on how ADHD is playing a part in that, right? So I know for me, ADHD is a trigger, like it can trigger cravings for me. I really do use food like to manage like dopamine and to manage my boredom. If I am tired, if I'm not getting enough sleep, I turn to food. So really understanding like how ADHD is showing up in these areas of your life, right? And then thinking about, okay, so I understand how it's maybe affecting me in a negative way, but how is it also showing up, or what are some things that I do for myself that are positive, and how can I tap more into those to improve my wellness journey? So for example, maybe um you are somebody who is able to get up every day and eat some type of breakfast. It may not even be a healthy breakfast, but you make it a routine to get up every day and eat breakfast for whatever reason, whether or not you can't start your day without it, whether or not you are just starving in the morning and you have to eat, whatever the case is. But that is actually something positive that is beneficial that you can kind of tap into to improve your wellness journey. So, if you make a habit of eating breakfast, but it's not always healthy, right? How can you switch to eating a more healthy breakfast, right? And we are going to tap in on like what types of foods and things you should be eating. And I think week 3 and 4, I believe. So, but just really focusing on, okay, what habits do I have that are actually not so bad or pretty good? Like I get up every day and I make my bed. Like that's something positive. Like lean into your strengths. I get up every day and I make my bed. I get up, for as far as self-care, I make time for myself to go on walks, or I make time for myself to do some kind of self-care. So I go get my nails done every other Saturday, or I go get my hair done twice a month. What are things that you do for yourself? Just taking time to reflect on those positive things, those positive attributes that you have. And then also looking at how ADHD is impacting you and maybe trying to figure out how you can apply those positive self-care habits to kind of start to switch the negative view of what ADHD is doing in your life, right? So I see a few people are watching live. If you would like to share, like, what are some ways? Because I want this to be like a community. How does ADHD show up in your life? What cultural or familial things have you dealt with? Like, you know, what do people in your family say about you having ADHD? Have you discussed your ADHD symptoms or diagnosis or non-diagnosis, but you feel like you might have it? Have you discussed that with your family? What do they say? Do you have support? Do you not have support? Like, I would really like to make this interactive so that we all can share with each other and just kind of grow over the next 6 weeks, because this is a 6-week course. And a lot of the stuff is like journal prompts that I will be assigning you every week. And then I want us to be able to come back and talk about it, right? To be able to share our experience for the week and share how the exercise that I assign for the week either impacted you negatively, positively, or how did you feel about it? What feelings and emotions did it bring up for you? All of the above, right? So let me check the chat. Thank you for joining the live on TikTok. Raging Virgo says, my friends point out that I go into 10 different directions during conversations. They say it's okay. Raging Virgo, do you know if you have like the inattentive type of ADHD, or like what type do you have? Yeah, that's something. So that's one thing like I don't deal with. I tend to stay in my head during conversations, so I look like I'm paying attention, but I'm not. So I don't interrupt people. I literally let people talk, and I might even respond with a head nod or uh-huh or oh wow, or I jump in and out of the conversation in my head. So in my head I might start thinking about 50 other things, and then I tune back in just to hear enough to be able to respond to what was just last said, and then I check back out again. So that's how that's how my ADHD works. I'm curious to know too, is anybody on any ADHD medication, or are you looking to try to manage your symptoms holistically through foods and exercise? I'm curious to know. Uh-oh. Ansley, did you ever get the link to the class? I don't know if you are still on Facebook, but I got your message saying you didn't get the link. That's not good because the workbook is in there too. All right. Uh-oh. All right. Let's see. Um, welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Oh, Angela says she doesn't have it, but she wants to learn about it. Okay, Angela, what makes you curious about ADHD and like wanting to learn about it? Do you have someone in your family that might have it? Or do you feel like you might have symptoms, but not necessarily the diagnosis? There's something that I wanted to read to you all. All right, so a few things that I want to touch on before we end our class is that ADHD is common. It's a common diagnosis, but it's not common within our own community. So if you are dealing with executive functioning, Angela says she's dealing with focus issues. If you are dealing with um, very strong cravings or inability to control eating habits, even leaning into binge eating, that might be preventing you from like losing weight, or is starting to cause other issues like chronic health conditions, things like that. And not really knowing how to overcome those symptoms, these next few weeks are going to help to give you like some tools to help you manage all of that, right? um so something that I found online, let me see, that might resonate with you all is that so this article is talking about ADHD in Black women. So I just want to read this paragraph. Um Aaron said finding a group and talking with other Black women that have ADHD during virtual meetings makes it easier to accept diagnosis. So some of us might not be accepting of it because we feel like it is stigmatized, like it's not a good thing to have any type of mental health diagnosis, right? So that is another reason why community is so important. ADHD women also can relate on the all too common racialized slights known as microaggressions um, that we might face within our community, right? And those things also impact like how we show up in the world because we might be dismissed for be looking angry or not involved or being dismissive in a conversation, and it could be just that we are not dealing with the underlying symptoms of ADHD, right? Because sometimes we don't want to be bothered, if that makes sense. So you might deal with not wanting to communicate or not wanting to be in just around people in general. But we can't avoid those things. We have to go to work. We have to, interact with the kids, teachers at school, things like that. So sometimes just how we respond just based on our demeanor, and that is with Black women without ADHD, but even with ADHD, even more so, feeling like we are being looked at as being angry or irritated or rude. So those are things that we have to work with too. So learning about how to like get accommodations in spaces like your work or school is really important so that you are relieving the stress. So your wellness is about finding ways to relieve stress in any area that you can, right? So if you are in school, finding accommodations for testing so you're able to focus, finding accommodations um for turning in assignments. Maybe you need more time to turn in assignments because planning is not like easy for you, right? If you have ADHD, it's just a little bit harder. So finding those types of accommodations. And then also um considering whether or not you need medication, or even if you want medication, learning about how food impacts your ADHD. So ADHD is a mental health condition. So it's important to know what nutrients, what foods, um, what nutrients and food basically help to boost your brain versus what foods might cause you to have your symptoms become worse, right? So lots and lots of sugar has a tendency to make symptoms worse. Not getting enough sleep has a tendency to make your symptoms worse. Your executive functioning is going to be worse if you're not taking care of yourself appropriately. So that is my goal in this course, is just to help with that and help you to be okay with your symptoms, be okay with your diagnosis, and just be open to learning on how to um, improve those things, right? All right, so I'm gonna check the chats everywhere to make sure that I don't have any questions. I'm gonna go through the homework assignment quickly, and then we'll be done. We will be done. Please drop in the chat any questions, comments. If you are not officially in my class, but you're just watching live, let me know. If you are in my class and you didn't get the workbook, please let me know because y'all need the workbook. You got homework. All right. So I don't see any comments on any other. Wait, I don't think I do. Yeah, not on any other platform. All right. So really quick. So week 1 is the homework assignment is basically identifying where ADHD is showing up in your life. So you'll see on the workbook, there's week 1 worksheet, and it says where I struggle, where I shine, where I struggle and where I shine. So I want you to take some time and Raging Virgo, if you want to join the class, there's a link in my bio. Go to that link and join the you'll see the class link, and it's going to take you to Eventbrite, but I'm going to pull your email address from there, and I'll send you an email on how to register, or I'll get you registered for the class that way. But just go to the link in my bio. So list 3 areas where ADHD impacts your wellness or well-being, whether that is positively or negatively. You are going to take some time to really think about where ADHD is impacting your wellness, right? And then I want you to take some time to list some things that you do well when it comes to your own self-care. So I talked about that a little bit earlier. What are your strengths? What are some things that you actually do well when it comes to taking care of yourself? And then you're going to take some time to reflect on what you discovered. So based on what you know about ADHD and what you know about your own symptoms and where it is showing up in your life, what did you learn this week about ADHD? What did you learn about yourself, and what surprised you about how ADHD is showing up in your life? All right. And then take some time to really think about how you have adapted in life to either mask your symptoms, to get through life, to cope with your ADHD. What are you using to cope with the symptoms of poor executive functioning, dopamine seeking, boredom, cravings, things like that? Like what are the things that you use to cope? And this may be some things that you didn't realize before. Take some time to really think about that. All right. And then next week, we are going to look at look more into the emotional eating and the cravings piece of ADHD. And you'll learn how to use food, how food is more used to kind of stimulate you and comfort you, and how you can lean into more healthier choices and still get the dopamine that you're seeking, still get that comfort feeling and effect and things like that. And we are going to get into like cultural foods as well, and have you all reflect on Ansley, classes at your Central Standard Time. So yes, 5 Central Standard Time, 6 Eastern Time. All right. But yeah, I want you to take some time to kind of think about your cultural foods as well, but we'll get into that later. Simply this week, just look at how ADHD is showing up in your life. How is it impacting you? How is it making you feel? How is it, how have you learned to cope with the symptoms that you might be dealing with? And what are some things that you do? All right. Do I have any questions? Any questions, anyone? Thank y'all for showing up. I appreciate it. Let's see. Make sure. I keep seeing pop-ups. Oh, you sent me a message in discussion board. Let's see. Ansley. Anybody have any questions about ADHD? Anything that I did not touch on that you would like me to kind of dig into before we end our class? Oh, you didn't receive it. So maybe it didn't go out. I'll check Ansley. Maybe I have to resend the email. Can you check while we're here? Can you double check to make sure it didn't go in your spam or anything? Because I did send it. Let me see if I can share my screen. Because I want y'all to see the workbook at least. Hi, is it LaFoya? Hey, LaFoya. LaFoya's watching from YouTube. Welcome. And you didn't get the workbook either. Okay. So I got to figure out what happened because I did send it. Thank you for joining, LaFoya. I appreciate it. I will LaFoya, are you on my email list? Do you get any of my emails? Angela, you got the workbook? Okay. So Angela got the workbook. LaFoya, send me an email and make sure you're on my email list. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. I'll make sure you're on my list for the class. Did anyone else not get the workbook or is in the class and did not receive my email today? Anyone else? Raging Virgo, I'll make sure you get in the class. There was somebody who joined like last night. So if you're watching, you probably didn't get it. All right. Let me see if I can share my screen so y'all can see the workbook real quick. Mm-hmm. Y'all, this ain't my strong suit here. Let's see. I will have to figure it out next class. But I'm gonna resend everything. Again, Ansley, I know you're in my class, so I know that you are on my email list. So I'm not sure why you didn't get it, but I will resend it to you directly again. But that's really it, y'all. I don't see any questions. Hopefully, y'all understand the assignment. I will make sure that the workbook is sent out. If you are on Hillman Talk and you don't get it, please send a post in the Q&A. I will be available for office hours tomorrow at 11. Okay. So if you have questions, you don't get the workbook, you're not sure what's next, make sure you join office hours tomorrow at 11 so we can address any issues. Other than that, that's it, y'all. Do we have any comments, questions, concerns? Raging Virgo, I really appreciate you. All right, y'all. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. Deuces.